DIY audio guy back again with another adventure. This time we're going to install some new speakers. That means the old ones have to come out, so we've got to remove the door panels. Let's get started. Let's pop over to the passenger side so I can show you some details on how to remove the door panel. We're going to start by popping up this piece of trim surrounding the door lock. You just have to get a panel tool under it and it'll pop right out. Now this is an 04 RAM, the third generation model. The procedure is the same for any third gen RAM that's between 02 and 08. There was a minor restyle in 06, so the latter model third gen RAMs are going to look a little bit different. Next we pry out the switchgear bezel. Just get the panel tool under the bezel and work your way around releasing the clips. This is not the original bezel that came with the truck. After almost 15 years of driving and repeated stress from removing them several times for some audio projects, mine eventually broke. I bought some replacements from Amazon and I'll give you an affiliate link in the description if you need one for your own truck. Then we just simply unplug the power window and power door lock switches and set the bezel away someplace where we won't lose it. The door handle is held on with a 10mm bolt. You're going to need an extension on your socket wrench, and it's a little bit hard to find. It takes a second or two to reach in there. It's kind of hidden from view, but once you get the socket on there, it comes right out without any problem whatsoever. From there, you're going to have to remove 4 Phillips screws. The first is right here in this shot, and it's right next to the handle. The handle just comes right out and we set it aside. I like to put everything in the floorboard so I don't lose it. Next we're going to start on the screws. The first one is next to that handle. And out it goes. The second one is up in the cell panel. I apologize for not panning the camera up to get this shot, but it just comes right out. It's just a Phillips head screw, nothing to it. And the next two are at the bottom of the panel. There's the first one. And there's the second one. Now we just lift the door straight up, and that door is finished. Lay that aside someplace where you're not going to step on it. Here's the old speaker. It's a Polk Audio DB Series 6.5-inch coaxial. It's sitting in an adapter that Crutchfield sent me back when I ordered the speakers way back in the day. I'm going to remove 4 screws to hold the adapter in place. These are the original factory screws that held down the OEM 6x9s. If you want to see those 6x9s go up in smoke, check out my 100 subscribers celebration video. I'll give you a link right here. The speaker is attached to the factory wiring with a pigtail. It just unplugs and the speaker's free. With the speaker out, you get a glimpse of the constrained layer dampener sound deadener that's on the inner door skin. Let's pop over to the driver's door and pull that speaker out. I like these speakers. They've given me years of reliable service. They sound good. They're easy on the budget. I would not hesitate to recommend them. I'm only upgrading them because I'm hungry for a new adventure. Back when I installed these speakers years ago, it took me several hours to get the doors off. I was new to this, I was unsure of myself, I wasn't using a cordless drill. Today I had both speakers out in about 17 minutes, and that included time to set the tripod and frame the shot, and walk back and forth to the toolbox to hunt for tools. I feel like I've improved a lot over the years. And if you're new to the hobby, the same thing will happen to you. Every adventure starts at the beginning, and the adventure doesn't begin until you start. So what are you waiting for? Get out there with a screwdriver, start taking your car apart, and start your own adventure. Let's go ahead and pull the screws out of these speakers and remove them from the adapters, primarily because I need the screws to mount my new drivers. Since I started building my own home speakers, I've really gotten into raw drivers. You get more bang for your buck with raw drivers, but raw drivers don't usually come with mounting hardware. So unless you've got a good supply of screws laying around, stick with mainstream brands and make sure you get everything you need to mount the speakers when you order them. Things like grills and gaskets and screws, as well as adapters to adapt them to the factory wiring, make a big difference. Now most DIYers aren't going to have this stuff laying around. Let's compare the new drivers to the Polks. These are SB17s from SB Acoustics. The surround is a lot taller, the cone and overall outside diameter is a lot larger, the basket is larger, and the magnet is huge compared to the Polks. I'm also going to need a lot more mounting depth to fit that big basket and magnet into the truck door. The new drivers are not going to fit into the adapters that I was using with the Polks, and that's okay because I've got a plan to fix that. I've had these speakers sitting on a shelf for the better part of a year, back before I started my YouTube channel. During that time, I made this template. I didn't get it on film. It's going to allow me to space out the speakers so the basket does not hit the door. As you can see there, the adapter hole will fit over just fine, so this is going to work out great. I'm going to transfer the template shape to some 1/2-inch PVC plastic. Car doors are designed for water to get into them, so it's always better to use something that's not wood inside of the car doors. I got this piece of plastic from a local sign shop. They were quite happy to sell me a piece of scrap material for a few bucks. And now I'm going to rough cut it with my jigsaw before I take it over to the router table. I probably could get away without rough cutting this material because it's not very hard material, and a router bit should just cut right through it with no problems, but it's always good practice to rough cut it anyway. I want to take a second to point out the jigsaw that I'm using. Now this is quite literally the least expensive jigsaw that I could find when I was shopping for a jigsaw. I don't remember where it came from. Maybe it was Amazon, maybe it was Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. It really doesn't matter. You do not need an expensive jigsaw, and so if you're getting started in this hobby and you're collecting your tools, don't waste a ton of money on a jigsaw. Now if you can afford a cordless jigsaw, absolutely upgrade to a cordless jigsaw because the cord gets in the way when you're trying to cut out these complicated shapes. Don't be afraid to use a used jigsaw. They're really simple machines. It's kind of hard to mess these things up. As long as the motor will turn over, it'll cut. All you have to do is buy some blades to put in it. So don't go out and spend a ton of money on a fancy jigsaw, and don't think that you can't do this on the cheap with the tools, because you don't need the world's greatest tools to do something as simple as cutting a little bit of plastic. Next, I'm going to stick the plastic rings to my template. I learned this by watching Mark on the Car Audio Fabrication YouTube channel. I'm using double-sided carpet tape for this. Now Mark uses a product from one of his show sponsors. Now I don't have any show sponsors yet. In the meantime, I need to use budget-friendly solutions like this 25-cent utility knife from Harbor Freight. The only financial support I get from my videos is from me. I don't yet have enough subscribers to generate revenue from YouTube. If you would like to help me keep making videos, you can help out a lot just by hitting the subscribe button. Now don't forget to ring the notification bell. If you don't do that, YouTube won't actually notify you when I post a new video. Off to the router, where I've got a spiral cut flush trim bit installed. This bit was only 20 bucks. I've not used it to cut any wood, but it slices through this plastic like a hot knife through butter. If you need a bit like this, you can check out the Amazon affiliate link down in the description. Now it's time to screw the speakers down to my custom fabricated adapters. I'm going to use the old adapters to lay out the screw holes to go into the factory locations. I'm going to pre-drill everything, mostly out of habit. I find it's just a lot easier to get a screw started when you pre-drill the hole. I probably should be using threaded inserts instead of just screwing into the plastic, but honestly this plastic is going to hold these screws just fine. Next, I'm going to take some gasket tape and wrap it around the underside of the adapter so that I've got a good seal between the door and the adapter. Now the speakers already have a small gasket on them, so I don't need to put any gasket tape between the speaker and the adapter. I'm going to reuse the pigtails from the old speakers. This is something to keep in mind when you get into this hobby. Pigtails like this make it a lot easier to connect to the factory wiring. If you order your speakers from someplace like Crutchfield, they're going to go ahead and send you everything you need for a basic installation, as well as instructions for things like taking apart the doors and taking apart the dash. Now I could have easily just cut the factory wires and crimped or soldered on a connector. In fact, I did that when I did the dash speaker build. I'm going to give you a link to the video to the dash speaker build right here. In this case, I've already got the pigtail, so there's no good reason not to use it. For this build, I'm installing some fast rings. Now you can get these on Amazon as well. This is the center part of the 3-piece set, and it's designed to go on the back of the speaker like this in order to keep water off of the back of the speaker. I'm not terribly worried about that since these speakers have a poly cone, but they came with the set, so I might as well just go ahead and use them. This is the middle part of the fast ring, and here's this episode's DIY Audio Pro tip. Before you stick this thing into place, you better make sure that window is going to go up and down without any interference. I gave it a test, and I'm glad I did because the foam stuck out too much and it got bound up against the window. So I just trimmed off about half of it. Now don't throw away that piece you trimmed off because there's always a use for a spare piece of foam around the shop. Here is another example of the importance of test fitting. There is a metal piece that pivots as the window goes up and down, and that piece does not interfere with this oversized speaker. Thank goodness, or I would need some different speakers. But it got close, so I trimmed back some of the fast ring so it would not interfere. The downside is that the middle bit of the fast ring is mostly useless at this point, but the window works just fine, and that is more important. Now we're getting really close to the end. It's just a matter of screwing in the adapter into the factory screw holes. I ran into another hitch. The screws holding the speaker to the adapter came in contact with the door, so I had a little trouble getting this adapter to fit. I ended up trimming those screws back. Next time I do this, I'm going to use shorter screws. We're getting close to finish now. We're going to take that final piece of the fast ring and we're going to stick it to the outside of the speaker adapter. Now this is the piece that's designed to funnel sound into the cabin. All right, popping over to the passenger side, we're going to take the passenger side door and we're going to see just how well that fast ring is going to fit behind this door panel. Now it's perfectly normal for these things to stick out a little bit too far, so all you have to do is trim a little bit off. Now the smart thing to do is to trim off less than you think you're going to need to trim off so you can come back and trim off more later. So let's stick this door on and let's see how it fits. And it fits like a glove. And we are finished. Well, I guess I'm not really finished because I've still got to put the doors back on and then tune everything so it sounds just perfect. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to tune this 3-way front stage using the digital signal processor that I installed a couple of videos back. You make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss it when I upload the video. I'm going to go ahead and put some videos on the screen that you might also like. I appreciate you watching my videos and I appreciate you joining me on my DIY audio adventures. We'll see you next time.